when it comes to winter, the first thing you want to do is to go out and go for a nice long ride. Hopefully it's a beautiful day and you get your last ride of the season. But on the way back, you're going to want to stop for gas and fill that tank up so your tank is full for the whole winter. And, of course, having a full tank keeps that moisture content down real low. Also, put the stay bowl in it to preserve the gas throughout the winter. Stay bowl works really well in my experience, and I've always used it in my boats as well as in my cars. Now when it's time to put your car in the garage, make sure it's clean, inside and out. Wash, wax, whatever. Make sure it's dry. Real important to keep it dry before you put it in the garage. Now once you do get the Vette in the garage, you want to do a real strong, thorough maintenance. You want to make sure that your oil's up, all your liquids and so forth up, you're all topped off. So when the springtime comes, you're ready to go. Now, a lot of people change the oil now, or they wait until spring. Your choice. It really depends on how much you drive the car and how you feel about it. Make sure your antifreeze freeze point is below the temperature that you expect to have of the winter, so you will not have a problem with your antifreeze or your car freezing up. Use a gauge if you have to, but make sure that that's safe before you go into winter. One of the things that gets a lot of conversation when winterizing your car is flat spots in your tires by letting them sit there. While the tires of today are far superior than the tires of yesteryear, when they used to have the bias ply, they used to really be a problem for flat spots when they sat too long. If you raise the pressure 2 or 3 pounds on each tire, it pretty much will hold its own throughout the winter. It will handle the cold and the warm and the temperature changes, just 3 or 4 pounds over what you normally keep it. Now you can get some rubberized or foam-like that you put your tires on, jack it up, put it on there, or drive up on them. Now they work well, but they're like $300 or more. Or you can do like I did here and have a little carpet under it, and it seems to work okay. You know, a lot of tire guys say it is really not a big thing when you're talking about 3 or 4 months. I've used the little cushions there, and they seem to work all right for me. You know, a battery maintainer is one of the most important things to keep your battery charged all winter. And I use a C-Tech, and the reason I use a C-Tech is because it works. It's not one of these ones that are cheap and overpower your battery by never turning off or never having any control. This goes on and off to keep your battery at 100%, and it works really well. Now, it's the same charger that they put in C7s, and like I said before, if it's good enough for a C7, it's good enough for a C4. You know, rodents can be one of the main things in the wintertime, especially if your car sits outside, or if you're in a garage like mine that's separated from the house. You have to be worried about those mice getting in there. There's a few things that I do every year, and one of them is put these little dryer sheets all around the car. That works out pretty darn well to keep them away from the wires. The other thing, nothing beats some big old mouse traps when you need them, all along the edges of the garage, making sure nothing gets in there. At this point, I'm pretty well done with all the exterior things on the Vette, and now it's ready to put the cover on. And I want to put a dust cover on because it is inside, it's not an outside cover, and it keeps the dust off the car throughout the winter. Keeps it pretty well, and also breathes real well. Now, let's talk about some don'ts. Don't set your e-brake. Now this one's pretty easy to understand. When you lock that brake in on the e-brake, you're actually tightening the cable, tightening the brake, so all winter long, those actually are shoes, and they may get hung up and make it really difficult in the spring to break them loose. So keep that loose, don't lock it up at all. Don't use a tarp as a cover. Boy, that's for sure. I tell you what, every year you hear more and more things happening with the cover that's made of tarp on top of it. The clear coat gets damaged from it. It happens too often not to make it an actual don't. In fact, there's a lot of controversy right now of just using any cover. It can cause more problems than having no cover on it at all. Now, I know when it's outside and so forth, you got to put something on it, but don't make it a tarp. Don't start the car till spring. I know how difficult it is to come out and look at your Vette in the garage and you just want to start it up and hear that motor one more time. But you got to remember, that's been sitting. And now the whole idea, the concept that we just went through is to keep that car feeling good all winter long. Once we start it, we change all the chemicals and the balance of the oil. It's best to just leave it alone. And wait till spring, start that baby up and enjoy that first ride more than ever. You do all this prep work to make sure your car starts in the spring. You waited in all winter and you can hardly wait to get out in it. So sharing with you now my startup from this last spring. Now that's the way it should start up. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.